It's over, guys. I'm sorry. There's no more crypto. I sold everything last night. I can't be in these markets anymore. Uh, like and subscribe. I'll talk to you. I'm just kidding. I didn't sell anything, guys. Okay, it's been a rough couple days. I'm not gonna lie, and this is probably the first, honestly, probably in the last year, maybe 6 months to a year, where I actually started to feel it in my stomach, like I did back in 2021, back in 20. It's really the last time where I had that feeling in my stomach where it actually is affecting me. Whereas, like, man, I don't even want to look at my portfolio. Like, this sucks. But you also have to realize every time we have a bull market, we get major, major dumps, sometimes up to 40, 50%. It's not uncommon. We're still on track. Could this be the end? Absolutely. It could absolutely be the end. I'd say it's like probably a 20% shot. This is the end. Um, and I do think if we're going into a bear market, it's probably going to be temporary, like maybe for the next year. Because you have to look at kind of what's going on in the world. We have the tariff situation. We have inflation possibly coming back, which is really scaring people. And you have a complete abandonment of risk assets. Gold, people are actually going into gold. Stock market's not doing well today, and this is kind of like the way it goes. I mean, this is when people get scared, they get out of risk assets. Bitcoin's a risk asset, and then alts are even more of a risk asset. So we're gonna have to wait probably for something to turn. You also had Trump come out yesterday, and he said, and this is actually what caused the initial dump, where they asked him if the tariffs were still on for Canada and Mexico. He said, yeah, they're still on starting for next week. And then the market pretty much dumped after that. So we have a lot of market conditions in the world that are causing the dump. But you also have to remember, guys, the war in Ukraine is most likely coming to an end at some point in March. That's going to be a giant catalyst for the markets. It's going to mean cheaper gas prices. It's going to mean overall better economy. That in turn can bring down inflation. But unfortunately, we're probably going to have to wait because this dump we had yesterday, it hurt. And it's going to take a couple months to rebuild. Even if we go bullish again, which we will at some point in February or March, in my personal opinion, it's going to take a couple months to get back to where we were. It takes some time to build back up. So you're seeing overall sentiment completely bad. Everybody's talking about a dump. You can just go down the list here. All your favorite YouTubers are like freaking out. It's complete capitulation. So this is either the bottom, we're coming up on a bottom right now, or we're going into a bear market. If we're not going into a bear market, we're coming up on a bottom, we're gonna have a big bounce. Now, I told you guys yesterday there's a few people I listen to in these markets who have been right on, and I generally like to take their advice. One of those people is, of course, Alicio. I made a video yesterday. He did another video today. It's got a lot of views based on what's going on in this crash, and he's still overall bullish. Let's listen to it a little bit. Like I said, like in these times, you don't want to be listening to crypto banter. You don't want to be listening to BitBoy. You want to be listening to guys who actually know their shit. You actually have to, pay attention and listen to an educated person, an educated man who knows his shit. And that's why I like Alicio. So let's see what he says, and he's still overall bullish.
Now, before we dig into the chart of Bitcoin, I'm sure there's some people out there, I would say probably about 80 or 90% of Bitcoin enthusiasts out there, who are looking at this chart of Bitcoin with shock and surprise, because obviously they haven't watched our previous videos, so they were not expecting this drop. And as a result, they're probably thinking something like this.
That is a fact!
Little bastard!
He does it!
He's done it again! You dirty bastard! You've done it again!
Yeah, I gotta love that, lead judges. Every time I see that video, I smile. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, a lot of people were caught by surprise because of this drop, but we were not caught by surprise because you, as my intelligent viewers, you were prepared for this drop. In fact, let me show you what I've been saying in the last several weeks about the weekly chart of Bitcoin, and we'll come back. That has increased the likelihood that what we're dealing with here is a false break of resistance. And that means what we could be dealing with here. This could be an A wave down, A wave, and that would mean this most recent rally was a likely B wave. And as we know, B waves tend to be bull traps, especially if they take out resistance. And that means we could be dealing with a C wave drop and pullback into this region, approximately 91K to 90K to potentially even to the 87K region there. There is still potential for more downside risk here. I think the higher probability is for a test at 21 weekly moving average, which is now in this support region that I mentioned also last week, between 91K to about, I would say, 90K to 87K. So I think that the higher risk is for Bitcoin to come down and test at 21 weekly. And that I think is quite probable. I should say, as long as Bitcoin stays below 102,600, the first resistance, there is a higher probability for it to come down and test that near support between 90K to the 21 weekly moving average. Alright guys, welcome back and thanks very much for watching that. So as you can see, Bitcoin has now pulled back to the very levels we had been anticipating. The 21 weekly, we're actually just below that level there. Let me just briefly show you this. This is a screenshot of my video from early February, from the 2nd of February. So as you saw in that video, we were calling for a drop down right into the support. The support now we've been testing, as a matter of fact, in this region. So that's the region, I'll just do a different color. So that's the region between 91K to 87K, okay? And we're just about here, as a matter of fact.
So yeah, he pretty much called it. If you watch his videos over the last couple months, if you're in his member videos, he pretty much called a breakdown to 87.
Now, this is a chart of Bitcoin from 2016 all the way to 2018. Well, I should say 2017 to the end of that year. Notice that in a bull market, and I think Bitcoin still is in a bull market. We discussed this with Charlie Burton just recently, if you saw my previous video. So Charlie Burton is right. I think we're still in a bull market in Bitcoin. And all we're seeing is something that's happened many times in bull markets, which is price goes higher and then pulls back to the 21 weekly. It did it here in 2016, all right, and it did it here in early 2016 here as well. Okay, so notice it pulls back to the 21 weekly, like here, holds, and then boom, rallies higher. Sometimes you can see, sometimes it pulls back even further lower, like it did here. Also in an ABC correction, as you can see, ABC correction here. It pulls back to the 21, let me just get my other color pen here. It pulls back to the 21 and 34 sometimes, holds it, and then boom, it rallies again. Then it pulls back again to the 21, sometimes the 34, and then boom, goes higher again. Then it pulls back to the 21 and the 34 sometimes again, and then boom, goes higher again. And notice again, over here, pulled back in an ABC correction here in 2017, all right, pulled back to the 21 weekly moving average there, and then boom, goes up higher.
All right, you guys can watch the video. It's a 12-minute video. I highly encourage you guys to watch it. But it's pretty much just pointing out that Bitcoin does this every cycle. It goes down to to whatever resistance there is, and then it goes back up, goes down, goes back up. And what you're seeing right now is nothing new. Now, I know for whatever reason the sentiment feels worse right now. I think it feels worse, like I said, because of what's going on in the world. You have uncertainty, you know, what's going to happen with Ukraine. It looks like that's going to get settled. You do have the Trump tariff situation, which it does look like at least for a couple of weeks we're going to have tariffs until they figure all this out. That could hurt the economy a little bit. Inflation fears, like I said, people are afraid inflation is going to come back, which it could. And the only way to fix that is to get cheaper energy, cheaper gas prices, which I think Trump is working on. So overall, sentiment is horrible. Even some of the biggest YouTubers have capitulated. I mean, look, if we're going into a bear market right now, this sucks. But the good news is, if it is a bear market, the 4-year cycles have been broken. So we could go into a bear market right now and in 6 months be right back into a bull market. Like if this is it for this bull market, like the whole previous cycle thing is out the window. You know, there's no like waiting till the next halving or, you know, you got to wait 3 years before it pumps back up again. Now, if the cycle is broken, it's broken. And if we go into a bearish market right now for the next 6 months, that means, okay, and in 7 months we could come out of it. Now, me, I'm overall still bullish. I haven't sold anything. Wish I did. If I could go back 2 weeks, I'd probably sell everything and buy back in. But I didn't sell anything. And to be honest with you, I was bored with crypto for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Probably the last couple of months, to be honest with you. I really wasn't even paying attention to it all that much. And I started to kind of miss this crazy volatility. Now, of course, I'd rather us be going to the upside. You know, I'm not stupid. But I am more interested now. I will say that. I mean, at least on a hobby level, if you want to consider Bitcoin and crypto to be a hobby, I can tell you I'm a lot more interested because I went for a run today. All I listened to was crypto stuff. I can tell you guys for the past couple months on my runs, I haven't been listening to anything crypto. I've been listening to like UFO podcasts and like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. So now I'm like fully invested listening to crypto again. I'm fully engaged. I go out for work. I'm listening to crypto stuff on my, on my phone. Not to say I wasn't listening to any crypto stuff before, but maybe like once a day I'd pop something on, like a Rand Nooner clip, so I could put it on my video. But like I really wasn't listening to a lot. But now I'm like, it's 100% crypto. I'm fascinated with it again. I'm back to listening to Alicio. And I want to know what's going to happen. So this volatility, at least it's interesting. I mean, you can't deny that it's not interesting. But yeah, it's not fun. Nobody knows what's going to happen. All the articles are bearish. And like I kind of told you guys, you have to understand, my biggest problem with crypto has always been like the coins like Solana, Terra Luna, UST. They're all big scams and they always crash the market and they hurt so many people. Solana caused a lot of the dump we're seeing right now because of the meme coins. A lot of people lost all their money on Solana. I've always said it. People keep saying you can't blame Solana. You can blame Solana because Solana never came out against it. All Solana cared about was their numbers. Do we have a lot of people using our chain? They didn't care if the most evil, most corrupt, most scammy people were making scams on their chain. As long as it counted as a number, as long as it counted as activity, that's all they cared about. And now you're witnessing the collapse. And I told you guys, what did I tell you guys would collapse crypto? I said Solana and MicroStrategy, all things like that. I said the ETFs. I said when we go bearish, everybody's going to be pulling out of the ETFs. You can watch a video I made a couple months ago. I said the minute we go bearish, everybody's going to be getting out of these ETFs, and that's what's happening right now. You have to understand with these ETFs, it's all dumb money in these ETFs. So when the price is going up, people are buying these ETFs, right? When the price goes down, people get out. And that's also hurting Solana started all this with the meme crap and all the crap. Then Bybit got hacked. And now you have all the people pulling out of the ETFs. So like, it's all retail money. Like, the Bitcoin's going down in price. Let's get out of these ETFs. And then as soon as Bitcoin starts going up again, they're all going to get right back into the ETFs. And that's going to take us right back up to $100,000. But how long is this shakeout going to be? I don't know, because even today, the stock market's dumping and people are still pulling out of the ETFs. So maybe it'll be a couple of weeks. Maybe it'll be a couple of days. I don't know, but you're seeing collapse. Now, what's going to happen right now if we're going into an actual bear market? Which, God help us if we are, because, we're going to see some serious misery. But I do think if we are actually going into a bear market, you're just going to see people continuing to pull out of these ETFs, people continuing to sell their MicroStrategy stock. And eventually you're going to see a leverage call on MicroStrategy. They're going to shut down trading on MicroStrategy. And that's going to take Bitcoin down to like $25,000, $30,000. So God help us. I hope we're not going into that kind of a bear market right now. I don't think we are. I really don't think we are. I think like Alicio said, this is your typical pullback. Quite simply, it's your typical pullback in a bull market. Sentiment's bad right now, and it might take us to summer to rebound. And like I've been telling you guys, I've always hoped for spring. I said spring, we need to be coming out of this, going into summer. Summer really is the last bet. Like if we're going into the summer and we're at like a $70,000 Bitcoin and $80,000 Bitcoin going into the summer, it's over. I mean, we're probably looking at like maybe a 6 months to a year of bear market, maybe even longer. But as of right now, I think this is just your typical big old fat dump. We are seeing Bitcoin kind of level out right now at $87,000, pushing back up to $88,000. Like I said, all your YouTubers, everybody's bearish. Here's from Rand Nooner. This is either the bottom, the biggest opportunity of your life, or it's the start of a bear market. Now is not the time to make the wrong bet. Going live in an hour, blah, blah. I did listen to a show. I mean, pretty much that's what he was talking about. He has no idea, just like everybody else. I mean, he's pretty much in the same boat as everybody else, although all those little stinky coins he was promoting, like Fart Coin and Gummy, they pretty much all went to zero, which is why you don't want to be involved in these typical YouTuber type coins. Other than that, guys, not a great day. Yeah, I feel it. Trust me. I'm human. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. You know, I was fine at like a $95,000 Bitcoin, even a 93,000. I was like, all right, whatever. But now, like we're pushing in the $80,000 range. I don't like these levels. They make me very uncomfortable. I'm starting to feel the anxiety a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Worst case scenario. Like let's think of the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is this was a shitty bull market. We're going into a multi-year bear market. Well, what does that mean? I can tell you what it means for me. I'm just sitting on my coins for another couple years, and when Cardano, I can tell you if that happens, okay, I'll sit on my coins for a couple years. Cardano goes back to $1, I'm selling it. XRP goes back to $3, I'm selling it. I made my 6 figures profit, and I'm good, and I'm happy. I didn't make what I thought I was going to make, but I'm out. And if I have to wait a couple years, I'll wait a couple years. But that's like a 10-20% shot. That's what we're going into right now. I think most likely, like I said, typical dump in a bull market. It might take us a couple months to come out of it, or we're still in a bull market, but we go into a bearish couple months, maybe like a bearish 3 or 4 months as we lead up to the summer where everything's miserable. We have to get everything sorted out with the tariffs. People are waiting for the inflation numbers to come out. What's going on with POW? Okay, what's going on with Ukraine and Russia? And once all that gets figured out, we go back into a bull market. Now, the positive note, like I said, I do think the ending of the Ukraine-Russia war, because of what that's going to do for energy prices and sentiment, that's going to be the catalyst that takes this market back. And what's the positive on that one? Well, the positive is that Donald Trump's negotiating that right now. We could have a deal at the end of the week. It could be next month. I would say within the next 30 days, the Russia-Ukraine war is going to be over. So that's going to absolutely be a catalyst for the stock market. And it'll be a catalyst for Bitcoin as well. So right now, guys, we're kind of in a waiting period. It's not fun. I don't like it, but I am entertained, and that's important because I'm obsessed with crypto again, which is good because this was my hobby, and it's giving me something to do. I was getting very bored with it, and now I'm kind of fully invested again. So I'll be monitoring the situation. Like I said, guys, all we can really do is ride it out. I think the worst thing, in my personal opinion, I think the worst thing you can do is sell right now, especially if you believe in these markets. But look, if you think we're going into a multi-year bear market, don't listen to me. Sell all your coins because it's certainly a possibility. It's like maybe a 10-20% shot. We are going into a multi-year bear market. But for me personally, I think worst case scenario, a couple months of bearishness until we get all these things worked out with Ukraine. Not Ukraine. Well, Ukraine's probably getting worked out in a month, but tariffs and all that. You have to remember, Trump could come out tomorrow and say, yeah, those tariffs I said I'm putting on Mexico and Canada, we worked out a deal. Then a week later, we could have, oh, and by the way, Russia-Ukraine, that war is completely settled now. Well, then we're right back to being bullish again. So let's not let these little blips where every time Donald Trump farts or burps or says something and they're like, oh, he said this, which Donald Trump says a lot of fucking shit. Let's be honest. He's a shit talker. And then the whole market collapses over. It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. As far as everything else, guys, everything surrounding crypto is bullish. Trump is bullish. The SEC is bullish. Gary Gensler's gone. We got ETFs coming out. Cardano, Litecoin, XRP, SEC. The lawsuit is over with XRP. It's all good news right now. It's just basically those outside market conditions like the inflation, the war, the tariffs that are kind of bringing us down. And the dumb retail money, like I said, they're flowing out of the ETFs because they only buy the ETFs when it's going up. That's dumb money, and that's hurting us. But once things turn around, you're going to see all the inflows coming back. The dumb money who sold out of their ETF, now they're going to be buying right back in at $95,000 as it's going back up. Look, we've seen this movie before. We've seen this movie multiple times. I mean, I've been in these markets since 2016, 2017. I've seen this movie 100 times. Why is it going to be any different this time? It's probably not. Yeah, it's always possible. Crypto could be over. Hey, maybe we're not even going to go into a bear market. Maybe everything's just going to go to zero, right? That's a possibility too. But for me, all the smart people, my whole thing in life is, I know I'm just a regular person. I'm not smarter than anybody else, but I like to follow what the smart people are doing. And when you have a guy like Alicio, you have Tom Lee from Funstrat CNBC thinking we're still bullish. I'm gonna go with the smart money, not the dumb money. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Talk to you later.